Like, guys, I'm really, truly sorry, because whenever I watch a Bellular video on stream, I always feel like I have to drag you down to hell with me. But at the same time, I really like his stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it's very informative. I know that he jumps between glazing Blizzard and hating on them constantly, but I really like the information. So at the very least, I think we can all appreciate that. Hello YouTube, I love Bellular, love World of Warcraft retail. Good, Barbara. Yeah, that's great. Don't check the live VODs, by the way. It's okay. We actually love it.
Welcome back to the utterly schizophrenic roller coaster that is talking about World of Warcraft on the internet.
Yeah,
Boy,
true.
We have stuff to talk about today.
He said it himself.
Blizzard response to patch 1205, and it's one that
I love Midnight. Good boy. Good boy.
raises serious questions. Paul Cubitt, the associate game director, sat down with Taliesin and Avatel in the wake of one of WoW's most broken patches ever. People really aren't that happy about what was said in the interview. And if I'm being honest with myself, yeah, I think a lot of those people are right, and we'll get into it in this video. Now, Blizzard's intent with this interview may have been to smooth things over. You know, TNE happened to be in the region for Final Fantasy.
How about instead of trying to smooth talk your way out of it, just fix the patch? Have you thought of it, Blizzard? Like, have you thought, instead of making another HR department, you can have a competent Q&A team? I think that would be better for the game.
Yeah, 14 FanFest, so why not? But Paul unknowingly exposed holes in Blizzard's logic, and worse, he even let slip some details that have really upset people like crazy. So today I'll be going over everything that WoW leadership said, and that's how I'm treating it. It's not about dunking on Paul, it's about WoW leadership, and to examine this team's decision-making, and, well, how that decision-making is leading to a progressively more buggy game over time. So let's start with the hottest topic, which is, of course...
By the way, take into consideration, the game isn't buggy. It's literally in an unplayable state at times. You do a raid, and you have a pop-up command on your screen. It's not even a bug. It's literally unplayable. Like, what is that? You know, you can forgive a small bug or glitch here and there 100%, but when the game becomes unplayable and you ship it, even though you knew during the PDR testing that it was bad, yeah, we're gonna have some serious problems, especially when I have to pay a subscription fee plus base game.
The bugs.
The game has no bugs,
Taliesin
though.
asked
Sorry.
if Paul would
True.
mind him asking about patch 1205, and he responded by reiterating the big message Blizzard posted.
Yeah.
Of course,
Just read from the prompter. Just read from the prompter. It all blow away. Just do it, okay? Just say the thing that we told you to say. Enough.
Cubitt himself
Don't
comes from a
think,
QA
just
background,
act.
so when he says they take this kind of thing seriously, well, yeah, I get it. He's been on QA himself. But it's what he said
Damn,
next
poor
that
guy.
made me realize that something may just be up, because he explains this whole thing using the analogy of potholes. Here's exactly what he said. When these issues come up, best thing we can do is, well, we'll fix them quick and identify the potholes that we know you fell into and pave them over again so we don't fall into them again. Okay, so that's basically the team's focus. That's his answer to that question. And on Facebook...
But, I mean, that's why you have the PTR for, but you didn't do this during PTR. You just shipped the game as is, and then people had the same bugs and glitches inside of the live service game. So, like, what are we talking about here? You didn't fix anything.
value, it seems like a good analogy, but I think it only seems like that if you are not in and around the world of developing software. Because actually, I think it tells us their real problem. If they're only fixing potholes that players have already driven into, well, there's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Especially when so
Common
many
Eastern
of those potholes
European road,
were
by the way.
driven into by players on the public test realm, weeks and weeks before the stuff went live. Now, in essence, what Paul's kind of saying here is that it's the individual team responsible for the pothole who are going to be resolving the issues here. And to explain that, he uses the bonus roll example from their blue post, but with a little more detail. He talks about realm lists differing from PTR to live and how the feature was saving to the individual realm instead of the whole region.
Guys, no, I'm so sorry for pausing constantly. It's so cringe. No way you had such a long answer for the most basic stuff imaginable. Instead of saying you're sorry and you'll never do it again and you'll pay more attention next time, you're trying to lie and obfuscate. I don't even need to read all of that to know that it's absolutely garbage. I really don't need to read all of that to know that this is an attempt of masking what really happened. And what really happened is that they have an incompetent team working on the game. It's just that simple. They're all vibe coding. They're doing nothing to solve the real issues because they can't. It's so simple. Like, you don't need all of that to know it. It's just so dumb.
And basically, that's why people were having a lot of issues with their bonus rolls. Now, the point is, in me highlighting this, is that their focus is on avoiding individual problems. Whichever engineer wrote that code made a mistake. Whoever wired the system up made a mistake. And Blizzard are promising they won't make that mistake again.
Sure.
Seems fair enough. But for us players,
of course,
obviously, the real issue starts before the mistake is made. Because we're not particularly interested in how Blizzard will prevent little individual bugs from escaping. The thing that we're worried about is why so many bugs are even happening in the first place. I mean, it's funny to the...
Because they're all vibe coding, of course. Can you finish that feature? Just make the AI do it. I'm busy drinking my matcha labubu Dubai chocolate boba tea. Classic. The average Blizzard developer. Absolutely. Blizzard mistake. One mistake. Take some cosmetic slop and shut your trap. Absolutely. There you go. A $50 tree. Enjoy.
Point of, after this interview was posted, they had a World Quest bonus week that for a little bit was bugged and wasn't working on the new reputations in this expansion. Hardly the worst problem in the world, they did solve it pretty quickly, but it was kind of funny. But to get back on track, what people care about is the circumstances that are leading to these bugs shipping in, well, higher frequency. Did the engineer of
exactly. That's the problem most players have with this, because this issue is multiplicative. It only becomes worse as time goes on. So you really need to like nip this in the bud and just see where the hell the ship is sinking, because you can't release every patch like broken and broken and broken again. Like, every patch cannot be like this. It's okay. Maybe we suffer through it once, but when it starts to become too consistent, it's just going to be extremely worse every single time. At some point, it would even delay the patch coming out. And I bet we're not too far from that point, where Blizzard actually had to delay the patches just to make sure it works properly.
Much on their plate. Were they
would not be able to maintain a regular schedule.
Did they have access to other engineers to ask questions? That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Processes, pipelines, developer resources, automated testing, ticket handling. I think people actually need to hear real, concrete plans about how they, well, try to solve any of this. Of course, that being said, the vast majority of these bugs were discovered on the public test realm, and
there you go.
Well,
I told you.
It wouldn't really have mattered how many QA people Blizzard threw at the issue. At the end of the day, the developers didn't get the stuff fixed, did they? And so, with such a weak and...
Because most of the Blizzard crew on World of Warcraft retail is actually working on the shop. They're not working on the actual game. The actual game is just a vehicle to transport you into the greatest feature, the shop. And how do you know that? Because you can trade without any bugs, but when you press that shop button, that shit fires up in like 3 seconds, okay? I was about to say 6 seconds. No, hell no. In 6 seconds, you can already make your purchase. So, you know where Blizzard priorities lie. It is what it is. That's how we play the game, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Literally nothing. The problem is Blizzard greed. It's nothing else. You can easily put a competent team working on the game and you won't see any of these problems, because these are like very basic issues. You shouldn't have command pop-ups on a raid. Never. Like, they didn't have that in like 2005 when the game came out. So why do they have that now with all the technology available? It's because they lack competent people. It's just that simple. Yeah, paying a monthly fee, paying for expansion, and still not deliver what the people are paying for. To be honest, not only right, but it's also that the people are dumb. It's really just that.
Analogy being used to explain what they're doing didn't really feel great. And then there is, rather obviously, the humongous elephant in the room. Because I think the communities broadly came to the conclusion that the 8-week patch cycle has probably got something to do with this. And to his credit, Taliesin did bring this point up immediately. Now, there's a lot of aspects to the 8-week cycle. It's extremely marketable. I mean, 2 months per patch, 3 patches per season, 3 patches per expansion. on paper, it's a great plan. But ever since they started, we've had more and more issues each patch. And sometimes...
So hire more people. I mean, I really don't care. I really don't care. Just make sure that the team can actually pull the vision off. That was always the case. Or maybe delay it a bit. I think that's fine too. But if you want to maintain a pretty great schedule, you just gotta have more people. It's that simple. I truly do not care about Blizzard reasoning of saying like, oh, you know what? We actually trying to deliver content faster to you guys, so it's your fault that we're screwing up. Like, no. I couldn't drop a single tear of sympathy for them. Just hire more people.
The way things repeat is just funny. Patch 11.15 was a dud in the same way that 12.05 struggled almost exactly 1 year ago. You see, they had this new feature called Nightfall. Man, the way they marketed it seemed so cool. But it was an insanely undercooked feature that barely worked when it came out. Similar-ish happened to Dastardly Duos, which was...
Classic.
Something that had lots of good ideas.
Oh, look, wait. It's our favorite streamer. There we go. Yeah. You know what? I actually respect her so much. She was the streamer who took the bag from ArenaNet to play Guild Wars 2 for one day, and she dipped. That was crazy. That was absolutely wild. I actually have such massive respect for her for doing that. She just took the bag and disappeared. That's very respectable.
But again, was undercooked. So for all the good this patch cadence is doing,
yeah, that was a true World of Warcraft player behavior.
Stability. And I think this is going to get worse before it gets better unless something major changes. Because it does seem that they can tweak little bits of what they do, but fundamentally, it's this 8-week cycle and how much they're trying to cram into each one of those 8 weeks that seems to be the problem. So ultimately, listening to the interview, it was disappointing that Qubit dodged the question, and as much as media training may have helped him do that, I think it obviously backfired from the perspective of Blizzard's public relations.
Blizzard do not care about public relations. All they care about are graphs, and the graphs are continuously going up because dumb people are still purchasing microtransactions. So literally nothing matters. No matter how much bad PR Blizzard would get, nothing would ever change. Even after all of the allegations were exposed out there and Blizzard had all of the severe, fridge raiding and cube crawling stuff going around, it did severely hit the company, but then they just sold to Microsoft and nothing changed. Like literally.
Particularly thrilled. Now, we know some of the issues going on. We know the devs are multitasking like mad between patches. As an example, recently an ex-dev was talking about his Dragonflight time and said that at one point he had 6 patches on his docket. That was Eric Covington. He's not worked at the company over the last few years, but Dragonflight is when the 8-week thing kicked in. And I would hope that the situation is better now than it was then, but goddamn, just look at the game. There's obviously a problem. Now, the thing about game devs is they want to develop games, right? That's what their career, basically their professional contribution to humanity is all about. So we can take a good guess that they are pissed.
They contributed to humanity by creating weird lame dragons, 100%. What a contribution, that's great. Using the power of friendship, no less, too. But, I mean, to be honest, I actually feel for the developers. Imagine having to tell someone they need to work at Blizzard nowadays. Blizzard used to be the mecca of developers. They dreamed of working there. Now it's like, oh shit, man, I got accepted to Blizzard. Oh god. I have to lock my milk bottles again.
Off by their features launching in such a bad state. I mean, take Decor Jewel. It's not bad by any means, but just look at the UI. It screams of basic placeholder, which absolutely is not Blizzard polish. Is this the kind of thing you want to ship? The class designers can't be happy either. Unholy DK was busted at the patch launch, Rogue's new hero talent was bugged with extremely basic oversights, and Resto Shaman's got a buff that actually was half as effective as intended. That's only a few examples, by the way. There is no way that the devs responsible for this work aren't pulling their hair out in frustration. And the funny thing is, there are a few obvious exceptions. As an example, ritual sites is an excellent addition to WoW. Whatever circumstances made
Wow.
that happen are worth examining. And look, perhaps the fact that it's locked off in its own little instance just made it a more straightforward feature to develop. Who knows, but it is weird how just uneven a lot of this stuff is. Now, if the 8-week patch cycle is non-negotiable, like the non-answer seems to imply, then Blizzard needs to build a pipeline that can actually execute the 8-week cycle well. Maybe that means delaying features. Maybe it means looking at developer responsibilities. Maybe it even means saying no to features or to class.
Or maybe just hire more competent people. But that would require you to actually give up more money. And Blizzard surely doesn't want to do that.
Changes until what you've already got is working. Whatever it is, it's not something they can just power through. They've evidently been trying to do that for years now, and it's pretty much always been to the same effect. We can only hope that this weak answer is just Qubit having to walk the party line, being a media-trained director, doing an interview with the press.
Yes.
Hopefully it's just that, and the wheels are actually in motion behind the scenes.
And by the way, I think it just goes to show how how disconnected Blizzard are from their fans and like their audience, because you have to be media trained now. Remember when Blizzard used to be just a bunch of passionate nerds? They weren't media trained, they weren't nothing. They just spoke so passionately about the game, and everyone were hyped out because of it. Chris Metzen isn't media trained. And if you go back and watch his old videos, man, he could rally up a crowd like that. It was insane. Right, I still remember early BlizzCon days, it was absolutely crazy. But nowadays, you gotta have PR directors, otherwise you're completely cooked. Yeah, all they ever needed was bring Chris or Jeff on stage. True. And they have. They have with Chris, but it's not working. It has for the very beginning, but now even Chris' charm can't save Blizzard. Nothing
But sadly, bugs are not the only question we got weird answers for. Talia asked about tank balance, and if you're not aware, well, it looks like this, which is pretty wild. 40% of all keys have a Brewmaster Monk. That means the not playing one is basically trolling after a certain point of difficulty. Now, the main reason here is that monks are just simply way more tanky, both in design and their tuning. We've had a few balance passes since the problem became obvious, but Blizzard haven't really bothered to address basically any tank issues thus far. Prot Paladin is in particular so bad that one of our tanks just put in the hours to reroll away from it in the middle of this raiding season. So, Paul's response hasn't really gone down well.
Yeah, I'm playing Protection Warrior right now. I feel fine, but whenever I start doing Mythic Plus, I'm going to solidify an opinion on that. But for now, Protection Warrior do feel kind of good.
The gist of his response is that they don't really care that much, basically. That what they will do is, quote, light touches to every tank to bring them more in line, but that a converging meta is actually a healthy thing. They measure success by whether tanks can actually meet their goals. And on that, they are broadly fine because tanks are all strong enough.
No, they measure success of how many monkey mounts have we sold recently.
To handle Mythic and, of course, to get 3,400 rating for the Keystone Myth achievement. By their data, players are hitting their goals just fine, even if we have a bit of a skewed meta. Obviously, though, as say the Augmentation Evoker launch season kind of shows us, a very skewed meta can be a bad thing for the health of the game. So it's the kind of thing that when you listen to the Paul interview, it seems fine. But I think it's actually insane because it completely ignores the actual experience of playing the game in favor of saying, but my data. You see, the thing is, to Paul and the rest of the WoW team, any data you get is a little bit of a lagging indicator. You can't rely on it. You need to develop your intuition better and be...
Because data can be easily tampered with. Easily. And we know because Blizzard do it constantly. They lied about the numbers, right? Their numbers aren't the way they show them to be like. Because you don't have 9 million players playing retail WoW. It just doesn't exist. The city is empty. It takes you 30 minutes at the very least to find a BG, and Mythic Plus, you're not going to start unless you are the tank. So clearly they're lying, they're inflating it with bots, and that's one of many lies they're telling you constantly. They always skew graphs, they always tamper with them, and it's by design. It's what they do. They do it to deceive shareholders, they do it to deceive you, and they're just going to continue to do so until someone would actually intervene.
Able to act on it. You see, right now, there's a gigantic tank shortage in the game. That's because tank is seen as the worst role to play for probably a few dozen reasons by now.
We covered that.
Blizzard, I guess, sit and they watch, while 5 out of 6 tanks are comparatively unwanted. Healer and DPS get some changes, we have seen those come in, but tanks, who are way worse off, have gotten silence. Prot Paladin is the worst tank by a country mile, and it did not even get a single line in the patch 12.05 patch notes. So if
They
the
didn't
main
even
way you
address
play
it.
WoW is Prot Paladin,
Because Blizzard developers don't even play their own games. It's a known fact by now. I think most people know this, right? It's not a surprise to anyone. Like, you know, all they do is just vibe balancing. They see what some people type on Reddit, maybe, and they balance off of that. They don't play their own game. It is what it is.
and then I suppose the answer is basically, fuck you.
Quickly release a
reroll.
Rainbow
It
Mount
may
into
as
the
well
game.
be that, because even the promise of light touches being done rings hollow when it's actually been no touches done. You know, when the light touches don't materialize until weeks upon weeks upon weeks after the issues are identified. Now, to be fair to the WoW team, Lindori's Glow is an attempt to help. I think it's a fantastic addition to the game. I think it will help. But not feeling the constant pull to re-roll to the flavor of the month would certainly help. Now, it's not utterly cataclysmic, and WoW has never been a particularly balanced game, but it is frustrating as a player.
Yeah,
That means
I
that
mean, it doesn't need to be perfectly balanced. It just needs to be fun and enough balanced. But the problem is that the balance is off the charts. Everyone's playing Brewmaster. It's not a good balance theme decisions. It's okay if, like, you know, most players play a certain class. It's bound to happen, but you don't need anyone on it. Whenever you have anyone on one particular spec, yeah, that's a huge issue.
ultimately their philosophy of, quote, not being disruptive is, in this case, absolutely wrong. Because the tank scene needs to be disrupted, and frankly, prot pals need to be disrupted off the threshold of whatever bridge or tall building they're currently standing on. But that ain't it. We're about to have the same pattern in another department. So, if you're a person who enjoys the cosmetics, if you want your character to be kitted out just the way you want it,
Yes.
well, this isn't good.
Oh,
We were told
let's
that
see.
many troll appearances were a reward. I'm sure plenty of people got excited about that, but it turned out to be a handful of hair and skin color options. No beards, no hairstyles, no body
What?
types, nothing. Just different color options of things. Taliesin brought up his own, quote, crushing disappointment. He asked if more was coming on this front, specifically the new forest troll body type, which looks really cool. And he was stonewalled. The quote is, we'll keep listening to feedback. I wouldn't hold your breath anytime
Oh,
super soon.
God.
That's good. If he did ask people to hold their breath, then I suppose a lot of people
I
would
hate
get it.
Blizzard.
Basically, as it
I don't
turns out,
even
this troll
comment on it.
thing
I
was
won't
just
even
an
bother
idea. It was a
commenting on
nice
that.
little bonus and really nothing more. They never promised more, so I guess it's sort of fair, but at the same time, look at the Harrenir. They have a new body type and some of the craziest customizations we've ever seen, which is fantastic for the several Harrenir.
Wow, the furry race, nice. They have so many customization. That's awesome, dude. Also, I can do the dragons, which are totally not related to Scaly, which is like a weird furry thing. 100%, yeah.
Players that there will be in a few years. But Blizzard clearly
That
aren't
cannot be
thinking
it.
ahead for what players actually want or how they might react when they see something in-game. This is a team that is firmly having their heads down, making the thing, and then reacting to whatever happens with the player base. It is not a forward-looking team. It's forward-looking in that it has roadmaps, but I mean forward-looking in the sense of understanding how your players will react to things. Now, to be fair, I can understand Paul not wanting to let certain things slip. I can understand the more media-trained feeling questions. But a few things certainly did still slip, and for many of us, me included, this next thing is the big one. One of the problems
Progression
we
speed
had
hurt
with
the
the whole
story?
Darkwell to Dawnwell story beat, outside of its general tone, was the speed. It was nice while we had it, but it was just a tiny, teensy blip. It was so quick for what is fundamentally civilization levels of change. Well, it turns out, according to Paul, they actually planned it to hang around a little bit longer. You see, Taliesin asked about how Blizzard felt, just of the pace of the split raids, and Cubit said they're happy with the split raid pace. He didn't confirm that the whole split raid thing will happen again, but they're not off the table. Do you know what, by the way, little sidebar? Yeah, that's totally cool. I loved having the different raids here. I thought that was really neat. I liked how, we went from the Void Spire to the Marching Quel'Danas. I thought that was a really cool way to do the story. So the big picture thing, thumbs up. But you know what they say about the devil being in the details. So Paul went on to say that their initial plan was to have an extra week between them, so 2 weeks instead of 1. Basically, we could have had an extra week of the Darkwell, and perhaps whatever content could have came along with that. And to be honest, I don't think it would have changed a whole lot, but it would have at least let the threat hang around just a little bit longer before it got resolved.
True, but also the reason why Blizzard are actually doing this is because they are like the rabbit that constantly jumps between carrots and never finishes one. It is what it is, right? It's the carrot on a stick analogy, but like 10 times worse, because it's being severely expedited by Blizzard. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's what people are addicted to now. It's quick dopamine hits. They're a bunch of addicts. Like, Blizzard don't have players, they have prisoners. And they're all addicted to World of Warcraft, they're all chasing the next high, and that is it. That's why content is being pushed so rapidly, it's so quick, it's irrelevant, there's no slow, how do you call that, delayed gratification, right? You don't have that anymore. It's completely removed from the game. Unlike classic World of Warcraft, which I think we can all agree here is vastly more superior. You had to work to reach a raid. You had to work on a raid itself. And it was very, very good because whenever you finally achieved something, it meant something. Nowadays, it doesn't matter. You're essentially playing Diablo 4 in third person. Like, literally nothing matters. Nobody cares about the story. The only good thing I can say about this is at the very least, I can do the leveling in 10 hours instead of suffering through Aerithor yapping in my ear 24/7 about how he's crying and wanting to, like, I don't know, to save elfhood. Like, I really do not care. I really do not care. Is that even his name, Aerithor? I kind of forgot. I really don't care about him. It's so annoying. Like, Turellian son. Why did I record the interview in what looked like a psych ward office room? Because Blizzard is like, speaking with a Blizzard employee is like doing the Yaxaron raid. You slowly become more insane. So you need to make sure you're in a safe, isolated environment so you won't go apeshit crazy and just smash things up, right? They can't just release you into the environment back after speaking with a Blizzard employee. They have to slowly introduce you to society back.
Now, the reason they pulled it forward was progression speed for the raiders, which I guess is understandable. We already have time-gating allegations over, well, there being the delay that there was, so I guess a further delay would have just made things worse. But it did mean that the coolest part of this whole story ended up being the shortest part of the story because they were more worried about raid pacing than story tension. And it's not the only way the story's been impacted here, because, I have to be honest with you, Paul said something that I fucking hate to the core of my being.
Damn, he dropped an F-bomb. Holy, uncensored too.
Mentioned certain corners of the internet reacting to the elf story being over so quickly.
Yeah.
I think I may have been in that corner of the internet, so hello to everyone from my corner of the internet. Turns out, Tally's also in that corner of the internet, and according to Paul, so is he. But sadly,
to be fair, it's kind of your problem for caring about the story in the first place.
Paul said exactly what I wish he wouldn't. First, he said the tension between the elves is still around, and that the campaign was just about saying that they're willing to work together. That's fine. But the problem is when he said that the campaign, quote, can't get into all the nuance.
What? Bro, oh my god. Yeah, why? Why can't it get on to... Imagine saying in an MMORPG that you can get all the nuance in a story. Bro, the entire premise of an MMORPG is the world being the lead developer. The premise is the story. It's never about you. If you're not expanding the world, then what the hell are you doing? Like, it's so dumb that they even say that, and it just goes to show you they don't care anymore. Like, they don't. They literally don't. There's no reason for me to even speak about this. It just, they told you, straight to your face. They do not care about the story. And it's such a great example that he actually shows Yoshi P here from Final Fantasy XIV. Because this man absolutely saved this game. FF14 was completely toasted. They were about to just shut it down, right? They were about to pull the plug. He saved that game from nothing. And you know how he did that? By completely demolishing every single thing that came before it. Literally, he nuked the game. Huge asteroid, destroyed everything, and the story started from fresh. And I literally think that that's what World of Warcraft needs right now. Because we're hit the point, no, we're past the point of singularity, and now there's no going back. You cannot make the game good again after all the characters have been through. You just cannot. You have to do a second Cataclysm, but this time it's going to be worldwide scale. You literally have to completely remove the game from its roots. You have, well, not from its roots. You need to just unplug everything that happened after Wrath of the Lich King and go back. Just use Warcraft foundations and build something completely new. WoW 2, essentially, one would say. Yeah, next expansion, Chromie realized the mistake we have done and breaks the fourth wall and delete everything past Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, I mean, it will happen. Don't worry, it will happen.
Imagine Yoshi P said that about the other MMO. So I guess if you want to see any interaction except for a bit of friend slop, you gotta do the side quests and zone stories and see all the different town interactions. I mean, on those things, fair enough. Those local stories are great. And I don't want to be too aggro here because I do understand what Paul means, but little question here, this may shock the Blizzard team. Why can't the campaign have nuance? Do the campaign writers not understand it? What he's basically saying.
No, they're too busy inflicting themselves upon the story and inserting characters that represent them. But the problem is that them, are too boring and dull to write an actual good story. Because they lived a life behind a gated community, they didn't have to go through any adversity whatsoever, so now they want to make themselves feel good by telling you, the player, that had gone through something in life, most likely, that they have been through a lot, when in reality, the only problem they had was asking their raider for a check because they are too socially anxious to speak with another human being. So it's very, very bad because you have like all of these cringe writers that don't have any idea whatsoever how to write a good story, and essentially we're just being fed that garbage. That's why all we get recently is Yasley Boss Queen, and all the men in the game are just giant crybabies, okay? Example, Anduin. Example, Thrall. You don't even see them anymore. They're just irrelevant. Like, literally. There's no war chief. They're just a council. Like, what are we doing here? It's so dumb. It's truly so dumb. But it just goes to show the level of writing is never going to be the same. I bet Chris Metzen is going to lose his last of hairs just reading the story, because he's the one who gives the framework, but Blizzard is filling it with crap. That's the main problem.
Saying here is that the best storytelling and world building in the game is by design not given priority, which is absolutely goddamn nuts. If the campaign can't show nuance, that's because you are not putting the nuance in the campaign. We know the side quests and zone stories carry the game, sure, but you know what? That's kind of our problem now. You're putting the best story there where only the minority who fully read and engage will see it. But what gets the budget and the spotlight is the most basic, plot-pushing stuff that, by and large, has just been
trash.
Embarrassing as a creative work made by adults, primarily for adults.
No, they weren't made by adults. They were made by literal man-childs. Like the Labubu millennials is a term that I like to use. They weren't made by adults. If it was made by adults, it would have been more than likely way better than what we have now. So, calling it adults for adults is just straight up lie. It's wrong. Straight up.
The WoW player base ain't young. We're like mostly in our late 20s to 30s plus.
Yes.
Not children. Stop writing like we're children. Now, regarding the scope of this video and stepping back from the 5 answers, and you start to see the same shape every single time. Bugs will get fixed when they break. Tags
more lies,
have
please.
To meet
Don't
the
worry,
rating
it's
thresholds. Coming. The customization, counts as a reward. The story beat, whatever, ran on time. The campaign hit its plot points. That's what the campaign's for. Want the nuance? Go elsewhere. So I guess, by Blizzard's measures, this patch is working.
Bro,
but
I mean,
the nuance...
This guy, like, someone is holding him hostage and telling him to smile and wave, and this lady, I think she's just too afraid to even speak. It's embarrassing. Like, it's such a staged interview. You can tell. I actually feel for them. You know, they're trying to do their job. They're trying to be good at it. And they're like, okay, we have to ask hard-hitting questions, but we can't lose our ties with Blizzard. So what the hell do we do? And it's just the most soft punches ever. Just a wet noodle. They can't ask any serious question. If you actually want Blizzard to be put on game, put them in a room with Asmongold. Dude, not only the roaches would consume them alive, the bacteria from Asmon would make them better people. Because they would become immune to every degeneracy and they will start writing good stories. That's my theory. I may be wrong about that, but I think I'm pretty right.
Go elsewhere. So I guess, by Blizzard's measures, this patch is working. But what they have missed is a little bit important. It's actually playing the game and what it feels like. Blizzard's idea of working and our idea of working are appearing to become further and further apart. And a blue post and a fairly weak interview are not even close to closing the gap. We've been here before, and unless something changes, we will be here again. Maybe.
Oh, we will.
In 8 more weeks.
So I'll see you next week, Bellular. But yeah, okay, it seems to be the end of the video. It was a good video by Bellular. I know you guys hate it when I, watch his stuff, but I do really like watching his videos. I think he's a great guy overall. I do understand he's doing what he's doing for the hustle, and I kind of respect that. But at the same time, I mean, he did kind of let it rip on Blizzard in this video, so we're gonna give him a bit more leniency with this one. Surely next week, he won't be glazing them for the most minute thing ever. I'm certain of it. Anyway, I'm gonna leave a link in the description. You guys can watch this video for yourself and give him a like. That being said, yeah, Blizzard is just completely gone. This interview is just fake garbage. Nobody really cares, and nothing is going to change.